All right, welcome everybody. Cosmic Compass. Here we are, Monday, April 15th, which for people in the United States generally has some connotation. It has a little energy to it. For people in other places, it's our tax day. And for some of us, it's not always such a great day. But we won't go into that today. We're going to focus on the good stuff. And we're going to actually just start with some breathing. That's the number one thing. And thanks to my teacher, Dr. Kealoha, who I think might actually be here right now. Let's see. Yes, she is. I love this breathing, and it will support us as we gather together as a group. And as we go through this week, this is a big week. And last week was a big week. And so we should breathe. All right. So wherever you are, if you are listening later, if you're listening now, just take a minute. If you can close your eyes, please do. If you just want to lower your gaze, bring your awareness inward, whatever is best for you in this moment. If you're driving, just keep your focus. But if you are here, just bringing an inward connection and really feeling that connection going deep inside. And we're just going to start by taking a moment to just scan how you feel in your body, come into your body and just be in your body. Top of the head, all the way down, just bringing awareness through the body, your knees, all the way to your feet, just feeling how you feel in this moment. Then we're going to take a breath in, and this time we're going to start at the bottom of the feet. We're just going to breathe in at the soles of the feet and expand the belly. And on the exhale, if you feel like making a sound, you can do that with me. So breathing in at the soles of the feet, expanding your belly, and exhaling with a ha sound. Again, everything's an invitation. Do what feels right for you. Breathing in at the soles of the feet, expanding the belly. When you're ready, exhaling. We're going to do that a couple more times. Breathing in at the soles of the feet. Expanding the belly. And exhaling. And one more time, if you feel like really joining together, breathing in up through the soles of the feet, expanding the belly, feeling this circle, feeling this connection. And when you're ready, exhaling with a and then just take a moment. If you need to take another deep breath, really feel your center, bring awareness to your heart, to your belly, to your hips, your knees, and your feet. Feel the earth. Take another breath if you want to. I mean, just keep breathing, of course. And then exhaling when you're ready. And then come back into this circle and breathing. I was having a great conversation this morning. Reminders that breath is the first thing that we're given. That's our first gift that we're given upon getting here. And it is something that we have always as a tool. And it is really powerful, obviously. I mean, here we are. And so this week and going forward, but I mean, I think all weeks, but particularly with the Jupiter Uranus conjunction on its way and with all the activity in Aries that's been happening, one of the things that I would encourage all of us to do with Jupiter and Taurus, with Uranus and Taurus, with them coming together, to stay as grounded as possible. Somebody sent me a really funny meme. It was great. And it was me being grounded during eclipses, retrogrades, whatever, just like laying in the dirt and like burying yourself in the dirt. So I think that was pretty funny. But in truth, having the experience of what does it feel like to be grounded, that's going to be our number one, I think, tool going into this week. Well, breath first, right? Breathing is helpful. Breathing first, and then having this connection. And or for me, I like to connect with the earth and then breathe. So however you want to do it, but earth, breath, earth. And they kind of go together, because when we get here, that's what we're doing, right? That's what we're doing, is we're coming into a body and we're breathing. So, all right. Today is April 15th, David says. Thank you. Oh, I couldn't see the rest of it. I'm like, and yes, Mercury is conjunct Chiron today. So David's going to be putting things in the chat to help us through the week. He's volunteered to do this because I think last week and this week and then going forward are particularly powerful. I will get to that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and pull cards. So David, if you just want to hold off just for a second, just want to pull in the energy back in, and just, we're going to start with an spirit, what is this called? Spirit Animal Oracle card today. This will be our grounding card. Animals, clearly, right? Very grounding. They kind of have that essence of grounding. And so here we go. There we go. Let's see who showed up for us. Sorry. Okay. All right. This is not exactly what I expected for a grounding card, but this is hilarious. All right. Are you guys ready? You will laugh when you see this. I'm not even going to say what it is until you see it. All right, yeah. The eel isn't exactly what I would say is the grounded energy that I was looking for. Is extraordinarily Uranian. We are looking at the electric eel spirit, and it says bring your ideas to life. So actually I take this very seriously. This is actually a fantastic card for the Jupiter Uranus conjunction. Might not be very grounding, but it's actually a fantastic card. Okay, fine, universe. So I'm going to pull another one just because I want to see what happens next. This is what happens. Like, we're going to pull another animal card because, we're already in the Uranus thing. So let's just see what happens. Oh, yeah, because, it's not about what I want ever. It's never about what I want. You ready? All right. Here's another grounding card for you. The dragonfly. Now, if there was anything that was, born in the water and then flies, now, it has a body, but it does sit on things. It does. It sits on flowers and come talk to you, right? Dragonfly spirit, truth transcends illusion. Well, yes, it does. Thank you very much. This is very appropriate for so many reasons. Very transformative. It is the number 22. We happen to have 22 people on this call right now. I take all of that very seriously. And we're going to pull another one, because if you pull two, you have to pull three. I mean, it's just how it goes. So now we're going to pull one more animal card. Maybe, let's just see. Let's just see what happens. Okay. I know. The humor is amazing. All right. I don't know. This one, I think I can make a case for maybe a couple of elements here. You tell me what you think. All right, ready? Yep, a starfish. Yeah, starfish spirit. This is actually perfect for Jupiter, open to infinite possibility. Like we could not have made this. I mean, this you can't make any of this up. I'm looking for a grounding card, and the cosmos is giving us the messages we need for this week. You know, like this is how it works. All right. The eel, bring your ideas to life. Bring your ideas to life. The dragonfly spirit, truth, transcends illusion. And the starfish spirit, open to infinite possibility. I know you can't really see them because, wait, here, we can do it this way. I don't know why it's so hard to get them. There we go. Right? Okay, so this is Uranus. This is definitely Jupiter, definitely Uranus. And we have truth in the middle. The dragonfly, the 22, very high spiritual number. Beautiful. I mean, just amazing. Oh, and check it out, people. What number is that? This is number 59. I'm only going to be that number for like 2 more weeks. That's got to be something important too, right? Very interesting. Okay, not that it's about me at all, clearly, but just putting it out there. Okay. So now I guess I'll pull one of the Light Sierras Tarot because I pulled 3 of the others. So let's just see what I want to see. Clearly, I'm not in control today. So we'll just see what does the universe need or want. Okay. And what I'm asking, just for those of you that are curious, I'm asking, what do we as a, as a group, as a collective, as a community, what do we most need to see here right now? I think we'll stop here. Remember, I was looking for a grounding card. I just had Mercury retrograde. It kind of came in backwards. All right. Here we go. Here's our Earth card. The Empress. This is the Taurus card. So in case we were looking for compatibility between all the cards, Uranus, Jupiter, and Taurus, this is one of, there are 2 Taurus cards, and this is one of them. But the Empress, right? The beauty of the earth, the beauty of connecting with our, and this is really important, especially for the 8-year, our ability to receive in equal measure to what we give. You know how normally I don't say what the cards mean, but these had words on them and it was just getting pretty straightforward. So I'm like, just giving you that little bit. But the Empress really is about how is it that I can receive and that I am receiving in equal measure to how much I'm giving. Very often and it's, I think it's obviously very important to give. I think that's very key. But sometimes we move into giving and we forget to receive. And in an 8-year, which is where we are right now, receiving is a really important piece. So there's more to that card. I guess I should put it up on the screen a little longer so you can see it. And you can just take a minute and just get your own messages. What are you feeling, sensing, seeing in that card? There is a lot to see. That's why, this is why I love this. I say this every week. I love these cards because her art is just fantastic. There's so much. She does a brilliant job of representation here. Okay, well, all right then. We're on a roll. Okay, so what we have is a big week. What we had last week was a big week. And I wanted to just give you a couple of resources. As you all know, I spend a lot of my time doing individual sessions and then working with the Cosmic Circle, which is the group that meets 3 times a month. And I don't often have enough time to do the writing of it all. So I want to give you 2 really good sources for this week. The first one is Philip Sedwick. He's one of the astrologers that I work with frequently to learn. You will find, if you do go to his website, and David will put his website in the chat. Thank you, David. You'll find he writes with quite a bit of humor. And he's been doing this a really long time, and he has his own witty style, we'll call it. But he's done this week, April 12th, he came out with a column newsletter that pretty much blew our minds when we read it. It's a day by day how to navigate this time. And, I don't know that he's ever done that before. And that, to me, just again, this is a really important time that we're in. So I'm going to go over a couple of things just so that it makes sense, and we'll keep it simple today. And then Pam Younghans, and northpointastrology.com, I think, David, if you could look that up. I read her column every week, and generally speaking, what I tend to do is I look at the astrology and I just take in thanks, David, what I'm feeling, what I'm sensing, just like I do with tarot, actually. I mean, obviously know a lot of the things that you need to know about planets and houses and this and that and the other, but I just take it in, and then I have my own experience of what I think that's going to be like for us. And then I will read other astrologers after I've taken in what I am feeling, what I'm thinking. So very similar to the tarot, where what do you feel? What do you notice? And then you can go to the book later. Very similar process. And so Pam has some really good, she's been doing this a long time. Also, she writes something every week. It's very good. And she also has some other things going on. So this community has an opportunity to meet with me in the Cosmic Circle, which is, again, that's more of the membership community. And we are going to meditate and discuss on Friday. We're going to go deeper into the Uranus Jupiter conjunction, because we'll be heading right into it. And it isn't, I think on the West Coast, it's not exact. I think not until Saturday, but we'll be deepening into that. If any of you out there want to be a part of that, I do ask for a 4-month commitment. So just email me if it's something you're interested in, or if you want more information, I'll be happy to send you more. But it is a community-based learning, and it's also a healing circle. So what I'm looking for, again, the commitment is really a way of deepening into the community and being part of the healing. It is also recorded, as is this. But with that recording, they're all private, and they go into a different, they're hosted on a different site. So, yeah. All right. So that's enough of that, but I wanted to let you know there are other resources available. Okay. So I am going to actually bring up a chart, and we are going to do this together, a little bit of learning, teaching, and this will give me an opportunity to share what I'm looking at a lot of the time, and at the same time be able to give you some information that I hope will be helpful for this week. Okay, so this is a chart for right now, except it's set for Auburn, California, which is fine. I'm fine with that. That was the last place I was looking at. So if anybody's in Auburn, California, yay. So currently, in this moment, we have Moon in Cancer. And again, when we're looking at charts and we're looking at like right now, the Moon is the thing that is the right now. The Moon moves the quickest, right? So we have Moon in Cancer, and we have a whole bunch of things in Aries. And so we're going to kind of go through those as a setup for what's coming with the Jupiter Uranus. Okay. So we've got Venus, mostly conjunct the North Node in Aries. We have an exact conjunction of retrograde Mercury conjunct Chiron. And then we have Eris conjunct, although the sun has moved a little bit past it, the sun. All of this in Aries. Now it looks like it's in Taurus, but all of this is in Aries. Okay. So what is that setup? That is a lot of energy. And so one of the things we want to do this week as we're moving through is start to deepen into the questions that are proposed here. Again, and Philip says this, Dana Gerhardt, one of my mentors, says this, and I think I'll take this off stop share because I really want to make this point. Astrology doesn't happen to us. Okay. Astrology doesn't happen to us. The planets are not, well, they sometimes feel like they're zapping us like the electric eel, but it is a relationship that we have with the cosmos, right? So when we're working with astrology, it is a relationship. And so to get the most out of this fantastic opportunity that Jupiter and Uranus are bringing to us, to open to the infinite possibilities, which is really what is happening, we want to be in relationship with the energy of the cosmos and be in relationship with the energy of the planets. So helpful. So when I talk about the different planets and I talk about preparing for this week and I talk about Aries and what's happening with, Mercury and the North Node and Chiron and all the pieces, it's because they're here to help. I mean, it may not feel that way. And I really want to honor that for some people right now. The suffering is off the charts, right? It's challenging. I understand that. And I have a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion. That said, I know that there's always something we can go underneath and deepen into. And maybe if one of you out there who's listening is in a place where it's just, you don't have the capacity to deepen, maybe that's your time to receive, right? Maybe that's your time to receive and to reach out to someone in your life who can hold a space for you. If there isn't anyone, and sometimes it feels that way, remember to come back to your breath, right? Remember to come back to your breath. That is the first thing we get. And it's here all the time. So again, and if that's hard, I understand that too. And so then nature, for me, nature, tree, whatever is out there. If you're in the most urban environment, probably one of the best things you can do is look for that flower growing in a crack in the sidewalk. I mean, seriously, what is out there that can bring you back to your being? And the reason I say this, and I know I just spent a lot of time on that, is because when we're going through such big astrological and astronomical events like the eclipse last week, oh yeah, duh, Kristen, thank you. Animals. How could I forget our animals? Cats, dogs, horses, dragonflies, starfish, eel, whatever's, yeah, thank you, Kristen. Almost forgot. I mean, yeah, hello. So bringing us back to our animals, bringing us back to nature, very key. So when we're going through this week, last week, again, how do we re-regulate? How do we regulate? How do we prepare? And again, it's not what's being done to us, it's actually for us. Rob Bresney, some of you know, Santa Cruz astrologer, who's known for his wild and wacky astrology, is actually quite wise. He's got some great books out. He has a new book out. But one of the books that he had a while back is called Pronoia, not paranoia, but pronoia, how the universe is out to support you. And so I like to come from that place, even when I'm having a really bad day. And believe me, I have my bad days, and some days it's hard. So I'm not going to sit here and like, hey, everything's okay. That's a very Jupiterian approach, but truth transcends illusion. So we have to stay with the truth, right? And the truth is sometimes things do get challenging. Okay, so now back to our screen. Okay, So we have, again, a lot of energy in Aries. So the preparation for the event, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, is to really deepen into, start with Aries, deepen into the self. What do you need to heal in yourself? What is coming up for you? Maybe you don't know what it is, but something is getting your attention. We're going to start with today. We're just going to start with Mercury conjunct Chiron. Now, all of us, not all of us have Chiron in Aries, but many of you do actually have Chiron in Aries. And I am going to make a suggestion, which I think I've made before. There is a book, and David, if you can put this in the chat, that would be great. It's called The Chiron Effect: Healing Our Core Wounds Through Astrology, Empathy, and Self-Forgiveness by Lisa Tahir. This is it's a not an astrology book, but it is a really helpful book. It's simplified a great deal, but I find it extraordinarily supportive for all of our Chiron placements. She even has a chart so you can figure out where your Chiron is if you don't know where it is. She has wonderful affirmations at the end of each chapter. For Chiron in Aries, I want to read the affirmations because we're looking at a Mercury retrograde. So I want to read them aloud so that you have right now, right here, some words that you can take with you into this week. Okay. The first one is, to me, one of the most important. So whether you have Chiron in Aries or not, today's message is, I think, along these lines. I own my right to exist. I am enough. I am worthy. Some other messages. I am growing. I forgive myself. I am alive. Really tuning into the messages that are coming that might be challenging is one way to do this, right? Absolutely. If there are messages that are telling you you're not enough, or you're not worthy, or this isn't the right place for you, or whatever, right? Whatever those messages are within yourself, or maybe they're coming from the outside world in some way, those messages have antidote messages. Okay. Those messages might be illusions, right? Those messages that tell us that we're not worthy, or that we can't do something, or that we don't have the right to, and then whatever that is, especially when it comes to living or being alive, or, going forward with our dreams, right? The chironic wounds get stirred up every time a planet comes along and has a little conversation. This is the second time that Mercury has come in contact with Chiron. Okay. There will be one more time, but it will be prograde at that point. We had a moment where Chiron was conjunct the North Node fairly recently. We've had Sun conjunct Chiron. We will have Venus conjunct Chiron. We will have Mars conjunct Chiron, right? This has all been happening, and it will be happening. Finding the place in ourselves where we can heal whatever shame we are carrying, whatever guilt we have. And sometimes that healing takes an opportunity, gives us an opportunity to make amends. Sometimes that's something we need to do in this lifetime. I would say probably. many times, at least in my life. How can I do that? What can I do? Mercury conjunct Chiron, in Aries, let's just start with self. Where do you want to make amends to yourself? What self-talk has been bringing you down? What hasn't been supportive of your dreams and your visions of going forward? The reason we're here today to do this today is so that we're ready when Jupiter and Uranus come together over the weekend, right? Because we want to clear out the old stuff, want to clear out the doubts, clear out the fears. Now, we're human. They're going to come back. Things are going to happen to us. This isn't like forever, but why not take the opportunity to really deepen into the fears? So I'm going to give you a Denise example. So yesterday I went to a wonderful, short writing retreat. It's something I haven't done in a really long time. And I had a plan. My plan, I'm going to work on this one piece of writing, and we do all these wonderful exercises. And it was great. I was just loving it because I was able to relax and dive into my own process, right? Which actually meant a lot of things were moving through. So again, Mercury, writing, the movement of energy through words, right? So I sit down to do the work, the project that I want to do, and lo and behold, all this grief comes to the surface. This is not part of my plan. This is not part of my plan. I'm not wanting to do this part. Like, what are we doing here? But that was what came up. So, because this was the time, I was at the retreat, this was the time, I journaled and let that grief come to the surface. And I let it come, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. And then, you know what? It cleared. It's going to still be there on some level, but it cleared enough for me to focus in on my project and see the possibilities again, instead of being trapped in my grief, which again, that could happen again tomorrow. So what is a tool that I could use? I can write about it. I can take the time to write about it. If the grief is overwhelming and I need help, I happen to have a therapist who happens to be a grief therapist, so I can go there. Again, resources are key. So find your resources. Interesting to look at where this Mercury and Chiron are happening today. They are happening in the 11th house of networks of support. So that support, those support teams can be animals, they can be the earth, they can be friends, they can be counselors, they can be the other realms, they can be your guides, right? But to know that you have networks of support, right? For me, being able to tune in and journal, that's a form of a support. And I know I'm talking to my higher self. I know I'm having a conversation with myself when I'm journaling. Okay, so I know I've spent a lot of time on this, but this is really, really important to really, really feel the benefits of what's coming with Uranus and Jupiter. We want to be ready as much as possible. So without further ado, let me give you just a few little tidbits about Uranus and Jupiter so that I can, so we can, in fact, actually talk about that, because that's what I said we were going to talk about. So again, Uranus is the ideas, the innovations, the connections. It is freedom. It is, it's energy, right? It's energy that wants to move. It needs to move. And Jupiter, possibility, opportunity, generosity, right? All of that, super important. So as they begin their journey together, what is happening is a very powerful opening. We talk about the eclipses and the portals and the openings. This is, I think, much, much larger. All right. I think it was Pam Young Hans had in her column yesterday a list of things that happen when Jupiter and Uranus come together, not necessarily in Taurus, because that only happens once every 84 years. But I want to read a couple of these because I thought that was really good that she created them. So again, this is when Jupiter and Uranus come together. Galileo demonstrated his new telescope. That sounds important. The Wright brothers conducted experiments with gliders. Charles Lindbergh made a historic flight from New York to Paris. Astronauts landed on the moon for the first time. The first personal computer was introduced. And there was a 24-hour flight in a solar-powered plane. That was in 2010. I didn't know about that. So you can tell the Uranian influence because it's innovative, or it's generally about creating something that is new, that will take us into the future. That aspect of Uranus, so you can think Uranus is not Aquarius, but Uranus rules Aquarius. So you can also think about, thank you, David, for putting all of that in there, by the way. Thank you. You can think about Uranus in terms of innovation. You can think about it as being ahead of its time, right? So again, your ideas, bring your ideas to life. Bring your ideas to life. That couldn't have been a better message, seriously, because we all have ideas that anybody can have an idea come to them. I've often thought in the past that we have these little antennae, which is very Uranian. We have these little antennae and the ideas are floating around in the universe. And the idea for this conjunction, Uranus-Jupiter, especially where it lands within the degree of Taurus, which, by the way, happens to be 22. When you do the Sabian symbol, it goes to 22. So just as another side note, like, again, how could we make this up? Is that we have the opportunity to bring peace to troubled waters. Okay. How do we do that? Well, the Uranian aspect says we have to think ahead. We have to think forward. We have to move into ideas that we haven't thought of before. I was about to say the starfish. The Jupiter energy says we have to look for openings. We have to look for opportunities. We have to know that we can receive, right? So back to receiving, that we can receive that information, and that we are worthy enough, that we have, we're here to do something with that energy. And it doesn't have to be save the world. I mean, that would be great if that happens. And if one of you has some idea that's going to do that, I'm all for it. But even if it's one small thing, like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden I realize I can hear my intuition better. Like in my chart. So again, where it happens in the chart is really important. And that's something that I'll be talking about on Friday in more depth with people. But that where it's happening in my chart is it's meant to open my intuition more. Like, whoa, okay. So that means I have to let go of anything that says that's scary, or what could that mean? Why, I need to be open to the possibility that there's more for me to, and that's the Jupiter thing. There's more for me to learn. There's so much more energy out there that is expansive and wanting me to deepen and open at the same time, because it's happening in my 8th house. So deepen and open. There's a lot more to say about the houses. But I guess what I want to say for all of us is, where is it that we're being asked to expand? Where is it that we're being asked to deepen? That Jupiter energy is very generous. It's very alive with possibility and opportunity. But it's also about amplifying, right? Jupiter amplifies, it's big. So if that idea is meant, whatever that idea is, any idea, it could be anything. anything that brings more life to you, to your family, to your community, to the planet, right? To the universe. It could be as simple as just all of a sudden, and again, it doesn't have to be all of a sudden. I just want to make that clear too, by the way. It could take months. So don't freak out if it doesn't happen on Saturday, all right? It could take months. It could take years. But the idea is that you're open. You're open to the shift. Maybe I wake up and all of a sudden I realize, you know what? I'm just going to embrace everything that life has to offer because that's what I'm feeling, right? Now, there are a couple people in our community whose birthdays happen to fall right in line with this. Just wondering if you know who you are. Yes, you know your birthdays. And so as your birthday circles around, what an incredible opportunity to think about life and to seize your life and to open to all the opportunities that life has to offer you. Now, again, where it lands in your chart makes a difference, right? The themes make a difference. But that energy of life and embracing it and enjoying it, if you're in a situation where you're not quite feeling that, let the universe do its work. Let the universe do its work. I just read that comment. Um, let the universe do its work and know that you're going to be supported. If there was ever a transit where support was going to be present in some form, and again, we may not always see it right away, and that is really important. Just to remember that. But just if there is some support there. Okay. Very real questions that have been asked of me recently. What if I am in a situation where I just don't know how I navigate it? How do I, things are dark or desperate? This has come up a lot. Last week was a rough week. Let's just say last week was a rough week. Each of us, I think, and this is the Denise thing, is given a set of tools, a set of talents. If it's rough right now, then the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is, I think, going to bring to the surface opportunities for you to see your gifts more. Okay. Again, what are the gifts that you were given? What are the gifts that you've spent your life cultivating? Or possibly last option, probably more options, but next option is, what are the gifts I'd like to develop? So that's another possibility. Is there something that I'm desiring, right? Is there something I'm desiring that I want to be able to do better? I don't think I can yet, but I want to. And so that is something that can surface during the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. I'm going to just go here because, it's me. There's Chiron conjunct Mercury today, so I might as well go here. So one thing I've talked about in the past is something called a jealousy map. And I want to bring that back up today. This is from, I'm sure other people have talked about it, but Julia Cameron talks about it in The Artist's Way. Let's say I'm looking at someone else's life. Number one, my friend Jeanette would say, comparison is the thief of joy. Don't compare yourself to other people. But let's just say I am. Let's just say, and I'm looking at someone else's life and I'm like, ooh, I really want that. That kind of happens to me frequently. And so I'm looking at that and I have a couple of options. I can get jealous, I can get envious, I can get or I can say, oh, hey, clearly I want something like that. Or I want that. Now, actually, in a jealousy map, you might realize that you don't really want that. And I've had that happen plenty of times. If you really start to look at that person's life, I mean, really, This is you may not want to go there. That isn't your path. So then you release yourself from the envy and the jealousy and you go, oh my gosh, I was being silly or whatever. But let's just say there is something or some way of being that you admire. So maybe there is someone in your life that you think of as like, I like think of it as a North Star, like like, oh, I want to go that direction. Well, that's what you can do. You start to make steps to go that direction. That relieves you of the jealousy, it relieves you of the envy, and it puts you into action. Now, with all this Aries energy backing up, right, and getting us ready for this Jupiter, Uranus energy in Taurus, one of the best things we can do is start to look around. Do I have thoughts around me that are like, oh, I really want that, or I want to feel like that, or I want to be like that, or that's my, that would be my ideal, right? I hear that a lot, like that would be my ideal. Well, first of all, ask yourself, would that really be your ideal? I mean, really get truth transcends illusion. Ask yourself, is that true? Is that really true? Is that really, really true? And if it is, then you start on in your map. How can I get there? What do I need to do? Now, not all of us are given the same amount of things to start with. So here's the deal. Having privilege and having what we need to go to the next thing is a gift, right? Let's say you're in a position where you don't have something that might be needed to get to that next thing. Good to know that. Good to understand that. So the next piece of that is, who can I reach out to for support? Who can be my ally as I traverse this? Because maybe you don't have the same things that other people have to start with. That's okay. But the next step is, who can I reach out to for support? And again, Uranus, Jupiter, we are looking at support. And if we go back and we look at today's chart, which I'm not going to bring up right now, but if we look at that chart, what we know is that today, in this moment, as I'm speaking, the information that wants to come is that there are networks of support out there. That is the Mercury conjunct Chiron in the 11th house for the chart that we're in right now. Okay. So I take that very seriously, that that's a message that wants to come through. Okay. So once we've determined what it is we want to go for, and we really get clear, then Jupiter Uranus comes along and says, okay, let's open some doors. Let's open some possibilities. Who do you need to meet? Who do you need to talk to? Or what do you want to do within yourself to strengthen what wants to come in? If you want to have more ability to communicate with your animal, right? A lot of people want that. We all want that. Number one, recognize that sometimes communicating with our own animals is harder than communicating with other people's. Number one, it happens. But number two, yeah, commit to something that will support you in learning how to receive, how to listen, how to dive in. There's a ton of resources available for this. Which one calls to you? Which is the right path for you? Learning to communicate in general, whether it's a people communication, an earth communication, or an animal communication, is part of why we're here. We wouldn't all be here on the planet if we weren't here to communicate in some form. Kind of landed together, so let's stay together kind of thing. So having an opportunity to deepen into your process, what is going to help you? So again, Jupiter, Uranus, right? What is the opportunity? What's the idea? How can I bring these two together and create something that I really, really, really want? For some people, they want to start their own business. Excellent. Ask do the homework, all of that. You're ready to start your business. Take the leap. I hear this a lot. What if everything changes? Well, guess what? Everything's going to change. Okay, so you can just say everything's going to change. Well, what if it gets worse? Well, what if it does? Now, I don't mean to sound like harsh or anything, but we're going to go through things. So Jupiter says, look, I want to give you possibilities and opportunities. And Uranus says, things aren't in your control anyway. This is the thing about Uranus. And I didn't start with this, but you already know this. Uranus brings things that we don't expect. And the reason I don't start with it is because we all go, ugh, what do you mean? No, expect could be good. Like, what if the really good things show up? I mean, what if even in a dark moment, something unexpected shows up? But what if that unexpected thing that shows up needs to show up now so that there is something better that comes along later? I don't know. This is tough because I'm an eighth house person, so my mind goes into the dark places, right? I'm going to go to the dark place. I try to try to keep it kind of even here and not go to the dark places. But, stuff happens, right? So you want to start your own business? You do need to take a leap of faith at some point. Guess what helps with that? Uranus conjunct Jupiter. Okay. Any place where you need to take a leap of faith. Now, if you talk to me and something has happened and you have all permission to say that back to me someday if I'm not having a good day. Don't forget to take that leap of faith. You have total permission to say that back. I'm not sitting here lecturing as much as I'm reminding myself. Okay. So what is that leap of faith that wants to happen right now in your life? And it might be very internal or it might be external, right? Every time I see that, when I'm talking, I see phrases in my head a lot. So I see the phrase leap of faith. And it's interesting. I don't remember what Oracle deck. It might have been Doreen Virtue's Goddess Oracle deck, but I'm not entirely sure. But there's a goddess, Anya. She's an Irish goddess, and underneath her it says leap of faith. So again, if you need support, there's a whole realm of support out there. And so for me, I'm very comfortable with looking at, gods, goddesses, energies that are there for support. So if I was looking for that, I might turn to that Irish goddess, Anya, learn more about her, understand what that energy is, and maybe start talking to her. And I know that may sound a little weird to some of you, but this is who I am. This is what I do. And I journal and I listen and I learn things. And ultimately, here's the next piece. Jupiter's all about learning. Jupiter's all about learning more and expanding your faith, expanding your trust, being inspired and inspiring other people. Okay. So Uranus brings in all this energy, the electric energy, brings in all this energy. And it's like, whoa, what do I need to have more faith in? Well, maybe I need to have more faith in myself. What inspires me? That's a good question, actually. And that's always a good question. What inspires me? Who inspires me? How am I inspired? But a question I want you all to ask yourselves, because you're all here because you are all leaders in some form. I want you to ask yourselves, how is it that I inspire others? How is it that I inspire others? And then let this Uranus-Jupiter conjunction bring you some answers. How is it that I inspire others? Each and every one of you listening or live now, each of you has an opportunity to inspire others. Now, if that's uncomfortable, good, because this is also about growth. Jupiter's about growth. Uranus is about growth. Uranus is also about freedom, right? Freedom, authenticity, really being yourself. How is it that I inspire others? It's a really good question to ask yourself. And it's similar to how is it that I am receiving an equal measure to how much I give? Because it's uncomfortable. Like it's not meant to bolster the ego. It's actually meant to ask you a really important question, to look at yourself and to see yourself and to see your connection to this life, your connection for being here at this time. And you know what? If you don't have an answer, that's okay. Stay with the question. If you need to make up an answer for right now, just remember this isn't about ego. This is about connection. How is it that I inspire others to, and you can fill in the blank. How is it that I inspire others to feel? How is it that I inspire others to love? How is it that I inspire others to feel more joy? How is it that I inspire others to be themselves? So you remember going back to the Marianne Williamson book, which now I can't remember the name of it, but the quote about giving, I'm going to get this all wrong, but you're going to know what I'm talking about. Being yourself gives permission to others to be their full selves, right? I can't remember the full quote, but the idea is that if you shine and if you bring your light out, if you see yourself with confidence and feel that confidence, then you inspire others to do the same so they can be themselves. So, maybe TMI, but if I had stayed in a life that wasn't exactly aligned, and we've had conversations like this with our guests, if I had stayed in a life that wasn't really fully aligned with who I am, I would not be here right now. I would not be here today. Did I have the confidence to leave that life? No, not really. I got pushed. And guess who did it? Uranus and Pluto together. Thank you very much. Pushed me out into the world. And this, for many people, this happened back in like 2010, 2011, 2012, right? So you can think back to that time if you feel so inspired. 2010, 2011, 2012, ask yourself what you were doing and how you're different now. Because we're about to be different again. Now, I know I feel like I'm a little lectury today, but sorry about that. But I just really, 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 really want to get to this, right? So thank you, David, for putting that in the quote. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously, and there's the piece that's important, unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. That it's not about ego, it's about being, and it's about being connected, right? It's about gathering and connecting. Okay, so we're at the top of the hour. This is how it's going to happen. You're going to go through this week, and it's going to be an interesting week. You're going to be prepared. It's coming, it's happening. We had last week to kind of give us some details of things that still need healing. You're getting some ideas of that today. And then the cool thing is we've got some really beautiful support from Venus this week. We're being given everything we need to reach this place where we can open to the opportunities that exist. So hopefully that all makes sense. I look forward to saying more on Friday in the Cosmic Circle, which is that membership group. If you have questions, just email me. And again, we are being very supported, very, 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 very supported. I don't know how many of you are around electric eels, but eels and dragonflies and starfish and the earth, right? And the Empress. Okay. All right, I'm going to end the recording.